Live at 5, this is 13 News Now.
Hey, we'll get to those stories in just a moment, but we begin with a look at the weather. It has been downright nasty outside today.
Yeah, rainy, getting colder all day long. Jeff is tracking this wet weather. He joins us now with what tonight holds.
Yeah, not going to be very nice. As you mentioned, a dreary day, but actually a great overnight last night. Those of you maybe working third shift, if you were coming home, it was really warm and no rain out there. It was beautiful. And then the front came through and temperatures dropped. A lot of rain dropped on us. And right now we're looking still at a couple of different lines, not terribly heavy in terms of the shower activity, certainly not the southern one. We'll look at that in a second. Right now, the heaviest of the rain, and there are a few very brief downpours located right here just to the west of the eastern shore, heading for places like Onancock and maybe over toward Keller and some areas there, sort of northern portions of Accomack. Meanwhile, here across south side, generally light. It's a little heavier in this strip right there just to the west of Suffolk, so you might need the umbrella for that. But in general right now, the big news, the temperature's falling. 69 was the high today, and then it fell. Evan was talking about how much it fell just in the span of under an hour, and now we're continuing to slowly go down. We're at 42. That northerly wind making it feel even colder than that. As for what we can expect the rest of the night, not a whole lot of rain to add on to these numbers. Amounts generally several tenths of an inch. Look at Mania, though, about 6/10 of an inch, almost 2/3 of an inch. So here we go with the forecast for this evening, just gradually dropping. Little light rain to begin with. The big news, some ups and downs, and I mean major big ups and downs coming up in the extended forecast. That's all coming up.
We're still following breaking news tonight out of Virginia Beach, where 4 students and 3 adults have been hurt after a crash involving a school bus. Happened at the intersection of South Independence Boulevard and Edwin Drive, right near Mount Trashmore. That intersection had been closed, but reopened about an hour ago. Again, police tell us 7 people were taken to the hospital, but we're told all of their injuries are minor. A spokesperson for the school district says the students were from the CSEP program at Renaissance Academy.
It's a story you'll see only on 13 News Now. Residents with fears of having to choose between paying their rent or paying their power bills. That's what some people in Franklin say they're dealing with after a recent cold snap and back-to-back snowstorms led to hundreds of dollars in power charges. And this isn't the first time. As 13 News Now reporter Allie Weatherton tells us, they're outraged and they're taking their concerns to City Council.
It was a jaw-dropping utility bill.
This month's bill almost gave me a stroke. It was $891.
Frances Sharp lives in a 2-bedroom apartment and says she keeps her thermostat between 66 and 68 degrees. Last month, her bill was $522.
Anytime your electric bill exceeds your rent, Houston, there's a problem.
She wants answers to why her bills are breaking the bank.
It's outrageous. Not high. The word is outrageous.
I took her concerns to Franklin City Manager Randy Martin. He says below freezing temperatures played a role in the steep energy bills last month.
It was the highest peak usage the city's had of record.
Martin plans to make a report to City Council tonight, asking members to help these people out.
We'll be looking at extensions, payment plan options, things of that nature on an individual customer by customer basis.
Sharp wants more, like a one-time relief. If not, she doesn't know what she's going to do.
You either pay your light bill or your rent. But if you pay your light bill, it's not going to do you any good because your rent will not get paid. And if you pay your rent, you can't pay your light bill, you have no lights.
Coming up at 6 on 13 News Now, hear from a city council member and what he wants the city to do to help these residents. In Franklin, Allie Weatherton, 13 News Now.
New information tonight out of Newport News, where police have arrested a group of people in connection to at least one delivery driver robbery. It's not clear which case or cases the 5 juveniles are accused of, but police tell us there have been 9 delivery drivers robbed since the beginning of the year. We're told the group was arrested Thursday night. We'll update you as we learn more details.
That bipartisan budget deal reached last week on Capitol Hill will pay big dividends to the Navy, which could, of course, have a big impact here in Hampton Roads. Today, we began to get a look at some of the details. 13 News Now reporter Mike Gooding has been studying the numbers, and he joins us now with a look at some of those details. Mike.
Well, and David, we're talking about more ships, more airplanes, and more personnel, all of which would be good for national defense and for our local economy.
So we think this strikes an appropriate balance between security and solvency.
The $716 billion fiscal year 2019 defense budget seeks 24 Super Hornet fighter jets instead of the previously called for number of 14, making it the largest request for that warplane since 2012. Before President Trump even took office, he promoted the Super Hornet as a less costly alternative to the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. Additionally, the Navy has submitted a request to increase from 2 to 3 the number of new Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyers, each built with ballistic missile defense capability. Overall, the fleet would grow by 10 ships total. On ship repair, which is identified as a readiness priority, the budget calls for conducting scheduled maintenance and reducing backlogs. On manpower, the Navy would go from 318,000 active duty personnel today to 335,000. And on compensation, active duty members would get a 2.6% pay raise, the largest in 9 years.
The department is grateful for the increased funding and has worked diligently in this request to ensure the funding provides and protects and sustains the readiness gains of 18 and creates a balanced warfighting force with the capabilities needed for the fight and the capacity to win the fight.
2nd District Congressman Scott Taylor is a member of the House Appropriations Committee. He sees this defense budget as a win-win.
It's good news for national security and defense, and it's good news economically for this area, so I'm very pleased with it.
Rear Admiral Luther said that under this plan, the Navy would be on track to reach the 355-ship goal by the early 2050s. Senate Armed Services Committee member Tim Kaine of Virginia praises the defense portion of the budget deal, saying, quote, "It is good for the country and good for Virginia." Reporting live, Mike Gooding, 13 News Now.
All right, thanks, Mike. The new budget deal isn't good for everyone. The Chesapeake Bay Foundation says it'll lose 90% of its funding under the plan. In a statement, the group's president called it yet another assault on clean water from a president who campaigned saying he valued it. He went on to explain that pollution is down, jobs are up, and local economies have improved, thanks to the CBF, and that this budget cut will kill the progress that's been made.
New tonight, the Admirals are staying in Norfolk for at least 3 more years. The team signed a new lease agreement with the city of Norfolk and a new agreement with the ECHL. It will keep them at scope through the 2020-21 season. The Admirals are getting ready to mark their 30-year anniversary in Norfolk next season. The city's hosted a professional hockey team in some form for nearly 50 years.
Taking a live look right now inside the downtown tunnel. If you drive this or the Midtown Tunnel every day, you're struggling to pay the toll. And listen up, there's only a couple of days left to sign up for VDOT's toll relief program. You're eligible if you live in Portsmouth or Norfolk, if you travel the tunnel 8 times a month or more, and if you make less than $30,000 a year. You have to apply at an Easy Pass customer service center in Norfolk or Portsmouth by this Thursday, which is February 15th.
Developing tonight in Newport News, we're working to learn more about how a man died inside his home and wasn't discovered for what police believe is several years. His body was found over the weekend on Rivers Ridge Circle. 13 News Now reporter Megan Puryear has been digging into this case, joins us live from there tonight. Megan.
Janet, this is quite the case. I mean, with this situation, we're dealing with a man who was in this house, in this complex, somewhere over here at Mulberry Village, and police have only told us that at this point in time, there's not that much that they know.
Mulberry Village is a quiet neighborhood in Newport News, but one house was a little too quiet.
I've never seen anybody go in and out of that place as a resident. I haven't seen that guy.
That woman who didn't want to be identified said she's lived here for 9 years and never seen her neighbor.
Or like strange smells, anything like that. It seems a little off-putting or odd in the past couple years.
No, I've never noticed any smells.
And her house is just 2 doors down from the one police took a body from on Saturday morning.
The next door, they did not say something.
And Marissa Atna says she saw him in the past.
A couple years ago, he's nice. He just, because I'm just walking around here, and he just said hi, and then they said hi also.
But neighbors are shocked no one knew he passed away years ago.
It's bewildering that somebody could be dead for years and nobody noticed it.
Now police tell us that there's no foul play involved in this case, but neighbors are still pretty upset. Live in Newport News, Megan Purrier, 13 News Now.
In about an hour, people in Hampton Roads will have an opportunity to learn more about the recently passed tax reform bill. Congressman Bobby Scott is holding a town hall on the topic. It gets underway at 6 o'clock at I.C. Norcom High School in Portsmouth. Scott's office says he'll take questions about how the new law will impact people's wallets and their communities. Again, that begins in less than an hour. This morning, Governor Ralph Northam was in Washington meeting with the president to talk about what he considers to be some of Virginia's pressing issues. At the top of that list, dredging the Port of Virginia. Making the port deeper and wider would allow for two-way ship traffic. Governor Northam and President Trump also discussed infrastructure improvements along Interstates 95 and 81 and broadband access.